Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of The Graduate Diaries, the podcast where we unpack the chaos of life after uni. We're chasing creative dreams and we're navigating our 20s together, okay? I'm your host, Tegan Easton, and how are we doing? How's everybody? How's your week been? How's your month been? If you don't know who I am, hello, I'm Tegan. We're just getting things out in the open. We're talking about things that not enough people are speaking about online. That's exactly what this whole podcast is about, and that's why I created the Graduate Diaries. So I hope you're doing well. It's currently Monday morning when I'm recording this episode. It's nearly the end of July and it's August at the end of this week. That's actually really, really crazy because it's my 23rd birthday next week. It's just actually hit me that I'm turning 23 next week, and I'm not exactly where I want to be, if I'm going to be completely transparent and honest. But that's okay. We're rolling with it. And that's life, I guess. But this weekend, all I've been doing is working at my hospitality job. If you don't know already, I work full-time in a hospitality job, and I do a small amount of freelance work in media, because I want to get into radio. That's my goal. That's what I'm going to be completely open and transparent about on this podcast, and how I'm basically getting on with the industry. Currently, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not getting there. And it's such a struggle, and it makes me feel a bit like I've failed, I guess, because I don't have that dream job, in quotation marks, and I'm nearly 23, and I think, oh my God, Tegan, you've been graduated for, well over a year now, and you still don't have that, again, quotation marks, dream job. Yeah, but that links really well with today's episode, which is slightly close to my heart and really relevant and on topic and on brand for just recently in my life with things going on in the background, and that is feeling like a failure, but reminding yourself that you're not, okay? I want to really stress that last part. You're not a failure. Even if everything seems to be going wrong in your life, or you think that everything is going wrong in your life, and you think that you failed or you're not where you want to be, you're not a failure. And we're going to really dive on into that in today's episode. So, what even is failure? Like, what actually is it? And why do people always think that they failed? So, I guess for me anyway, sorry, as I'm filming this, I'm just looking like into the corner of my flat because this is really, really off topic. I'm really sorry. But I came home from work after doing a close on Saturday night with Jace, and we got back at literally like 11:30 at night. Just sat on the sofa. Jace was just eating some like reheated pasta, and I just wanted to sit down and eat my banana bread that I'd cooked. And I was sat there, we were about to watch Grey's Anatomy, and then we looked up and there was this massive, like, it was so big, it was a moth, and it was, when I genuinely, I'm not exaggerating when I say the biggest moth you would have ever seen. It was honestly like, it was the size of a bird. It was flapping around. It was like we had a bat in the corner of the flat. And I'm such a wuss, and I really hate insects and bugs and things that fly. I'm honestly, I'm such a crybaby with stuff like that. So I was just spiraling, and I ran out of the room and I shut the door crying because there was this frigging massive moth, and it was disgusting. And Jace doesn't even like moths anyway. Jace will handle the spiders and bugs or whatever. That's not a problem, but he doesn't like moths. I was just gone, so we had to deal with the moth, and it was so big, it was disgusting, and it's just left a mark on the wall because he tried to like kind of whack it, and there's just like a black mark on the white wall. So I need to clean that up, but I just can't stop looking at it. It just reminds me of the moth incident. But yeah, we're not gonna, that's okay, the moth's gone, There's nothing here. It's okay. We're going to get into the episode, Tegan. Stop rambling. Anyway, rejection. So how does this feeling of rejection show up just in life in general? Because rejection, again, is such a subjective topic for people, because people think they failed in all different aspects of life, and depending on how old you are or what like experiences or circumstance you're going through, failure is completely different for every single person. So how does it show up? So for me, and I've got bullet point number 1, I'm just looking, and this is something that really, really resonates with me recently in the past week or two, and that is not landing the jobs that you've been applying for and feeling like you have failed. And I've applied for 2. Well, I've been applying for more than 2 jobs, but the 2 jobs that I really could see myself like getting and actually like succeeding and working on, I got rejection emails like a week or 2 ago now, I want to say. And one of the companies I used to volunteer for, and I volunteered there for like nearly like 2-3 years, like all through like my uni journey, I was volunteering there. I'm not going to name and shame, but if you know me, you will know where I'm talking about. Yeah, and they had this like producer role open up, and I really had my heart set on it, and I thought, oh my god, brilliant, I've got, all these years of experience, and I've done different tasks in this volunteering job. Obviously it was volunteering, so it wasn't paid, but I really think I got a lot out of it actually, and I got a lot of experience, and I did so much. It was like editing, it was like news reading, delivering the news and the weather reports on, a national audience. It wasn't just a small local station. And yeah, met some great people. Everybody there was absolutely lovely. And I would never say, anything bad about them, because they're all just lovely. And yeah, this job that they were advertising was to be like a producer. And I was like, perfect. I've recently got some, freelance like producing, and I've got experience in other, producing like projects that I've done. And it was one of them where I kind of thought, oh, you're kind of get it. Like I didn't tell myself that I was going to get it. But I was thinking that, Tegan, you've got a really good chance of getting this. And I feel like I don't always do that. I'm quite a confident person. I feel like that's actually quite an understatement. I am a very confident person, just in general. Like, I'm a massive extrovert. I'll speak to anyone, I'll say whatever I think, and I've got no filter, and it's not always a good thing. But I'm also confident in what I can do. Like, I'm confident in my skill set that I've got, and I can, like, the things that I can do, as in like job wise, I think that I can succeed in them, and I'm happy to say that to people. So yeah, when I was reading this like job application, and I'm thinking, I can do that, I've got that, I can prove that I can do that, and I've got a portfolio. And I changed my CV, because obviously you change your CV in your cover letter for each individual job, because that's just what you do, and it looks better to the company that you're applying for, because they think, oh, this girl really wants the job. And I didn't get it. The applications closed a lot later than the website said that it would, because I kept checking, because it was past the deadline, and I thought, I've not heard from them yet. And this was like a week or 2 after. And then it must have been beginning of last week that I got an email to say, thank you for applying, but we're not taking your application further. We're going to go with like other candidates. And it really, really kind of threw me off, I guess, because like I said, it's not that I'm quietly confident. I am confident, and I really kind of told myself that I think that I'd at least get like an interview, but I didn't even get that far. And it really gets you questioning, and then you start to kind of spiral, and I think, why have I been rejected? And I understand that with job applications, you get hundreds, you get so many different applicants, so it's hard for, a single person to tell the applicant why they went wrong, I guess, or why they didn't get the job, or what they were missing or lacking, or I don't know, something they could have said to make them look better. And I didn't get any of that, obviously, because I'm sure a lot of people actually applied for this role. And it just sucks. Like, feeling like you failed just sucks, because I also tell myself, like, oh, if I get this job, I can completely cut my hours at my hospitality job, because that's the goal. That is literally what I'm working for. I'm working towards cutting down hours or completely getting rid of the hospitality job that I work for, because I don't want to work there. I really do not like working there. That's, again, an understatement. But we're not going to deep into it. But I really, really did think that I was going to get at least like an interview or a chat or something, and I didn't. I didn't. And I'm sure, I'm happy for whoever got it. I hope they are loving life and it's a great job. And what sucked as well was just because that was actually a salary job, and, I'd be bringing in a salary, and who doesn't want to actually, get a salary? Because hospitality it's not for the weak. It's all uncertain. You bring home a different amount every month because it's not a salary, and you work different hours and you make different tips, and it's a roller coaster at the end of the day, and I want to get out of it. But that feeling of, Tegan, you've been rejected, doesn't sit well with me. And I mean, I'm quite good with it, because it doesn't break me. It doesn't really put me to breaking point, and I'm not crying about it. Like, I didn't cry when I got that email, but I just think, why? That's what I'd like to know. Why? I would just really like to know what I was missing, or what they were looking for that I don't have, or I can't prove that I can do. But yeah, that's a massive, massive rejection. And like, it's a bit of a kick in the gut, or whatever the saying is, because I would have loved it, but it's not for me. And I've had 2 jobs, do that to me in the past 2 weeks, and it sucks. It really, really sucks. And people don't speak about it enough, because rejection isn't a nice feeling, especially when you kind of get your heart set on it, and then you just have to continue, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't, but it also does, because you feel hurt, and especially if it's something that you really, really, dreamed of doing or could see yourself in, and then you just have to carry on in your everyday life like normal. So I'm still in my hospitality job, hating it even more, and I'm not going anywhere with the media. And it doesn't help that people don't reply to emails, obviously not. But enough about me. What's another feeling? How does another feeling of rejection, show up in just life in general? And it kind of links, but that's comparing yourself to others. So with what I was saying about, you're not landing these jobs, you compare yourself and you think, right, so what does the person who actually got further than me, what do they have that I don't have? What am I lacking? Or am I too much for them? Or do I not have the qualifications? But then you didn't need a qualification to get this job, but you still sit and think, and you doubt yourself and you doubt your abilities. And then that is never it never works out well if you're going to sit and overthink it, because you're just going to dig yourself a bigger and bigger and bigger rabbit hole, and you'll spiral, and that's not going to end well for you, your mental health, or anything. And it's a dark road to go down, to be comparing yourself to others. And as well as this, it's watching other people succeed on social media, succeed in quotation marks, because as I've mentioned in a previous podcast episode, if you want to go listen to that, success is relative, and success can be defined by you individually, and success is different for everybody. And yeah, when you see, your friends land in different jobs and you are still feeling like you're stuck or you're left behind because, like in my case, it's, well, why am I still working in hospitality when I literally have a TV and radio degree? And do you know what? A lot of people have jobs that they didn't go to uni for. Like, a lot of people, and they're okay with that. And that is okay. And it's just disheartening. I mean, when you're on the side of, oh, I wish that was me, I mean, it's congratulations and well done to the people who are actually landing these jobs and are actually, succeeding and doing well. But when you keep getting rejection after rejection after rejection, and all you see on Instagram is like, oh, I've got a job promotion, or I've got a new job, and you think, when will it be my turn? And then you start overthinking and comparing, and the rabbit hole continues. And we need to stop going down that rabbit hole. But then you think, well, what have I got to change? How do I become successful? How do I get the well done and congratulations email rather than, I'm sorry, you haven't got the job? And it sucks. And it really, really sucks. And you think that little internal voice in your head telling you maybe you're not good enough, or what's the point? Why am I even trying if I'm not going to get anywhere? And when you get those thoughts, it's so dangerous. But I'll tell you what, it hits you in the most random ways. Like, you could be scrolling on LinkedIn. I love a bit of LinkedIn. If you know me, you know how much I love LinkedIn. I don't know, I feel like it's such a great platform. And again, it is one of those platforms because you talk about yourself and your job promotions or how well you're doing and success. And you also might bump into someone on the street who you've not seen in ages and they seem to have life all figured out. And then you think, when will that be me? When will I get that job promotion? When will I even get an email back from people when I'm trying to get some freelance work? Because that's another struggle I've actually been finding. Especially recently actually, because I'm just hitting, like, I was going to say breaking point. It's not that dramatic, but I'm hitting like a wall. That's probably the best way to describe it actually. I'm just hitting a wall. I'm hitting a block. Working in hospitality, and I genuinely just think it's been too long and I need to change it up. And I don't mean just get another hospitality job, because I can't. It's been like, customers are so, like, it's just so grating, and it's, do you know what, almost like dehumanizing sometimes, the way that some people speak to some people. You just realize how rude members of the public actually are. And I'm just sick of it. I'm just so sick of it, because I will snap and I probably will lose my job if I keep it up for any longer, because I'm so over it. But I'm just struggling to even get responses to, so I'll email a company, for example, whether it's like a main email address, or I know that I've actually contacted someone who works for a certain company to be like, hey, I graduated uni last year. I've got this experience. I do this currently freelance. I work in Media City or whatever. I'm just seeing if you've got any freelance roles available. Would love to meet for a coffee to discuss this further. XYZ, whatever you want to say. That's along the lines of how my emails have been going. And I've got one reply, actually. This is actually really good for me. You should be really proud. And I have sent an email to this company, and I basically said that, what I've just said. Have you got any freelance roles available? I would love to chat further to discuss this and my availability and all that. And I'm meeting someone. I'm not going to mention company or anything because I want it to go further. But yeah, this guy emailed me back, and because I sent on the email, I think this might have been why he's actually emailed me back. On the email, I put a link to my creative portfolio. So on Canva, this is so random and not on the topic, I feel. But on Canva, I've made myself like an online creative portfolio. So it's just an online like presentation, like PowerPoint, I guess, with different slides of, I've actually included videos and audio of like my work and my portfolio, what I can do, like my presenting, my producing, editing, like short form, long form, all of that fun stuff. Put that onto a creative portfolio, and I've included a link to my creative portfolio on my emails. So, you know, the hiring managers or whoever you're emailing can just click on the link and it takes you straight to like my creative portfolio. And yeah, I got an email back, and this guy was like, I looked at your portfolio, it was really impressive, really liked what I saw. Would like to talk to you about this further. So I'm meeting him for a coffee. In like 3 weeks because he's on holiday and then in London for work. Because media people are busy. Everybody is so busy in this industry. But I'm so grateful that he's even looked at my portfolio and he's gonna meet me for a coffee. I'll buy him a coffee because, again, if you buy the said industry person, if you buy the coffee, you know, you look good. If you go, no, it's on me, don't worry, you've, you know, took the time out of your day to come and meet me, coffee's on me, they'll appreciate it, of course. And yeah, I'm not going to speak much more on it because I don't want to speak about it and then get my hopes up again, to put it lightly. But yeah, so that's middle of August. I'm going for a chat. I'm sure I will speak on it more later on in the future when it happens. But all I am saying is, if you could keep your fingers crossed for me for the next 3 weeks, I would really appreciate that. But yeah, that wasn't a rejection, but that was a good thing. And the whole point of the Graduate Diaries is for us to just share and be open and honest. And that is, to be fair, I don't know why I didn't start talking about that and then got into the rejections. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, that's what I expect. I don't expect, but I would like. I'm not expecting anything, actually. I take that back completely. I don't expect anything in this industry because it's so tough and it's so cutthroat. And if you are crying over one rejection, you need mental strength, to be completely honest, I feel, to work in a creative industry, especially like the media and especially radio, audio world, because it's so competitive, because there's so limited jobs. And you've got so many hundreds or thousands of people applying for the same jobs because there's not enough of them. So obviously you're going to get rejected, and you have to be okay with that at the same time. But here are some reasons why you are not a failure, okay? Because success is not linear. Success is not linear, and you are not a failure if you haven't got that job that you want, because it's not linear. And sometimes, well, especially creative industries, and especially in media production as a whole, a lot of the time you have to work up and up and up and up to get into the industry. So you start from the bottom. Let's say if you want to work in TV, in uni, all they tell you is to work in television, you have to start as a runner and then work your way up to production assistant, whatever. I don't even know the roles because I never really listened to TV. But you have to just start from somewhere. And even if you're a runner, it doesn't mean that, you're the bottom. You'll work your way up and you can get to where you want to be. Then we've got effort versus outcome. So this is... Sorry, I think my phone's just going off. Why did I not turn that off? Sorry. I also need to leave in a minute. I've got work in like 40 minutes. Oh well. Effort versus outcome, which is something that I struggle with because I feel like I put so much effort into these job applications or changing my CV or my cover letters because I want to speak about the actual company that I'm working for. And I think that's so important. I think when you're applying for jobs, I think you have to be changing your cover letter. You can't be using the same generic AI looking cover letter because that's not going to get you anywhere. And never use AI. Sorry, I don't know if that's common knowledge, but people are using AI to write like their CVs and their cover letters. However, I'm sure that it looks so obvious if it's not like personalized, or you've not written what you've achieved, or it just doesn't seem like human. You're doing it wrong. But yeah, I feel like it's really hard to differentiate between you're putting all your effort in and you're trying so hard and you're not seeing the outcome that you want, and then you feel like you failed because, like me, you've not got the job and you feel the rejection's hitting you, and then it's, well, why do I feel like this? But none of that means that you failed. Failure is a mindset. I think people say, you hear it all the time, oh, I failed, I didn't get this grade, I didn't get into this uni, I didn't get this job, I failed. Who's told you failed? Nobody's told you failed. You have told yourself that you have failed, and you haven't failed. You need to unlearn that kind of mindset, because failure is just a mindset. At the end of the day, no one's put, oh, I failed. You're telling yourself you failed, okay? Failure is a mindset. Unless you have to get like a test result, you have to get a certain number. But I'm not talking about like a grade you failed. I'm talking about like the application or something you haven't got, where it's not like a number that you actually have to achieve, because that's different. And then you've got the invisible work that you're putting in. So like I've said, I'm putting so much effort into all these applications, and it's a lot. There's so much effort and work that you can't see that goes into all these, even like making a portfolio, so much time and effort, and you're trying so much, and it's so valuable because you've got all these ideas, you're growing, you're healing, you're trying, and nobody sees the background. Nobody sees all the effort that you've put in, because it's just invisible work. And all of that doesn't mean that you failed. And you're not alone. I know a lot of the time people deem rejection as, oh, I'm by myself, I'm all alone, I've got nobody in this world. And you are not alone, okay? You're not alone. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you are not alone. But I think we need to like reframe or shift our mindset, like I've already mentioned, because failure, as I've already touched on, it's a mindset. And perhaps you need to say, maybe I'm not failing, maybe I'm in a building phase. You are building that dream life. You are building the life that you want. You are building the life that you see yourself having in 5-10 years time. You're doing it now. You're in stage 1, okay? If you're in your 20s, you have just entered basically the first stage of a life. I saw on TikTok that, you know, when you reach like 20, you're like 1 year into like adulthood. So you're in your first stage, okay? And you are just building that life, okay? You need to see it from a different mindset. You haven't failed. You're working towards the person that you want to be. And I think that in itself, that is beautiful. Failure is often a part of creative careers. Like, everybody fails one way or another. Everybody doesn't get that interview. Everybody doesn't get that dream job. And everybody's grafting and putting in the invisible work and doing things and feeling rejected, or getting rejected even, and feeling like you're not going anywhere. But it happens to everybody. It happens to all of the radio presenters who you aspire to be. It happens to all the journalists, all the directors, because nobody has got that job easily. Like, I'm not being funny. No one's woken up and is suddenly directing, you know. That's not how it works. You have to work towards it. And I think people forget that a lot of the time. So to reframe the narrative, I think we have to start. I feel like all of these episodes, I end up saying that you've got to do something for yourself to reframe the narrative and, shift how you're feeling and stop feeling like you are the problem. But I think it's so important because you're not the problem and you haven't failed. And I think you need to be doing some things. So we've got journaling. I feel like I love to mention journaling. Journaling and writing down how you feel. Journaling what you want to do. Journaling how you're going to get there. So important. If you see the steps and the stuff that you need to do to get to that dream life or that dream goal, absolutely do it. We need to be having breaks. It's so demanding, constantly applying to jobs, writing cover letters, making everything perfect. And you need to be taking care of yourself, because it's hard out here. Take yourself outside, go for a little walk in between applying to jobs or in between interviews, because it's so difficult. Speak to your friends and don't numb the feeling. Speak to people about how you're feeling. If the feeling of rejection is getting to you, speak to your friends, speak to your family, speak to your sister and tell her, oh my God, this is getting to me. And she'll listen, okay? And just some little takeaways from today's episode for you, okay, is that you are not alone. And everything is a win. Every win is a win, okay? Every single win in your life, in your career, in your success is a win. Even if it's a small win, even if you didn't get that job that you wanted, you are building the life that you want. And it doesn't stop there. There is so much more to life. If you didn't get that job, then it wasn't for you. If they didn't want you, it's not for you. So see it as a switch in mindset and it's not your problem, okay? And we need to encourage self-compassion. Each and every one of us has to, feel a bit of self-love, feel a little bit of love for yourself, because you're doing great out here, okay? If you've just finished uni and you're not getting the job that you want, it is so common and it is so normal. And look at me, I'm still in hospitality. It's been a year since I graduated and I'm still not where I want to be. But we're building the life that we want together, okay? Go and follow me on Instagram, go and follow me on TikTok. You can see that I'm just a normal girl in her 20s trying to build the life that I want. And we're going to do it together, okay? So if you do want to message me or you've got any fears or doubts or worries, I'm happy to speak to people on my Instagram, Tegan X Easton. It's also going to be in the description. But if you felt like a failure recently, I promise you that you're not. You're just in the process, okay? And the process, that's where the magic is. I promise you, you're going to be okay. But thank you so much for listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, if you've made it this far into the episode, I really actually enjoyed that episode. And I think you need to take away all of those takeaways that I've just mentioned. But I will catch you next week of another episode of The Graduate Diaries.